After traveling into the world of the book, I successfully rescued the poor, mute female character. We grew close, cherishing each other. We promised each other a lifetime together. However, just when I thought we would live happily ever after, in a tragic accident caused by a fire, she disregarded my life right in front of me. She grabbed another man's hand and ran off without looking back, leaving me alone, consumed by the flames. I turned into a ghost, and I swore to curse her to a life worse than death. After perishing in the inferno, I became a ghost. I follow Naomi day and night, unable to leave her side. I have tried countless times to distance myself from Naomi, but whenever I recklessly try to break free, I always crash into an invisible barrier and get violently thrown back. After repeated failures, I gave up and accepted the fate of being bound to Naomi. Wherever she goes, I drift there too. In the deep night under the sparkling starlight, everything is silent. Naomi sits quietly at her desk, writing a novel. The blue light from the computer illuminates her gentle eyes and brows, as elegant as distant mountains. Her slender fingers tap on the keyboard, revealing a scar on her wrist. That was a burn she got 3 days ago while saving Hiroki. 3 days ago, at the same time in the same mall, was the day I died. Fire and smoke ravaged the area. Just a few meters away, she didn't hear my cries, covered Hiroki with her wet clothes, and pulled him to run outside. I was unlucky. As the fire spread to my side, I was struck in the right foot by a fallen guardrail post. The sharp pain prevented me from moving. Hiroki was not far ahead of me, knocked to the ground by the panicked crowd. I gritted my teeth, half-pushed myself up, and shouted, "Hiroki, I'm here." But the next second, a graceful figure appeared before my eyes. A silhouette I had watched for nearly 10 years, familiar to my bones. Naomi arrived. With her arrival, my heart instantly felt calmer, and I let out a long breath. However, she didn't see me first. She hurried straight to Hiroki. Sweat beads covered Naomi's forehead as she pulled Hiroki with effort. Without saying a word, I shouted, "Naomi." Thick smoke from all directions filled my senses, and under the oppressive haze, I covered my nose and mouth, unable to speak. I could only desperately shake the big orange bell on my wrist. The pure copper bell rang crisply, its clear sound intermittent amidst the noisy cries and screams. Naomi kept moving, her small body trembling slightly, yet she remained intensely focused on Hiroki without pause. How could Naomi, that silly girl, not hear me? I thought blankly. The flames raged on. Another piece of the building fell, and I tightly held the bell, my strength gradually fading. The last image I saw in life was Naomi pulling Hiroki's gradually receding back. The fire spread, burning more fiercely. I don't know how long it was before my blurred vision was swallowed by smoke and the world went completely dark. I tasted the salty moisture at the corner of my lips. Until death, I still held the bell. This bell was a gift she gave me on the day I was to study abroad. She smiled gently, her cheeks flushed, and tied this adorable cat bell to my wrist with her own hands. Naomi was mute. She couldn't speak, and she would awkwardly gesture to me. She said, "Don't look for another woman. If you miss me, shake this bell, and I will know that I'm always by your side." At that time, I laughed and said, all right, I promise. But are all of you in the literature department this innocent? I'm completely enchanted by you. However, after I returned to my country, we were never apart again. 3 days ago, Naomi broke our promise for the first time. In my near-death experience, a cold, indifferent electronic voice echoed in my ears. "Host, do you regret it?" It was the system responsible for sending me to this world to pursue Naomi. After the mission succeeded, I chose to stay in this world and grow old with Naomi. It said, "Host, I cannot save you. In this world, after your body dies, your consciousness will still exist until it detaches and returns to your original world. Additionally, I can fulfill one wish within the system's capabilities." Naomi deleted the novel she had been working on all night. It was clear she wasn't in a good state. Naomi's short stories were quite famous. When we argued, she would write revenge thrillers to retaliate against me, and when I managed to cheer her up, she'd switch to writing sweet stories to warm her readers. She was very dedicated, often polishing a chapter 4 or 5 times before moving on. When she was struggling to find inspiration, I would let her sit on my lap, gently hold her from behind, and help her clarify her character's personalities and values, gradually outlining possible story developments. Sometimes, when her OCD kicked in and she couldn't finish writing to go to sleep, I would make her coffee, prepare a midnight snack, and stay by her side to pull an all-nighter together. Now, I watched her struggling to the point of tears with a cold, attached gaze. Inside, as I floated in front of her, my hollow eyes reflected hatred. I gritted my teeth and shouted, "You scum girl! I've been so good to you. Are you worthy of me? I curse you to a bad death." Of course, Naomi couldn't hear a ghost's words. She pouted, picked up her phone, and opened the chat app. At the top of her friends list was the pinned ID, Little Wren. Little Wren was me. My name is Run. I hadn't replied to her messages for 3 days. The room was filled with floating leaves, so she decided to sit at her desk to see what she was up to. After staring for a while, Naomi actually smiled. She reached out her fingertip to touch my dog avatar, a slight curve forming on her lips. WeChat mini program notification. Naomi poked Little Wren's head and said, "Poke your doggy head." Naomi sent, "Can you call me when you're not too busy?" A moment later, she sent, "Can you check in with me?" After waiting a long time without a reply, Naomi prepared to start a video call, but hesitated and closed it. Before my business trip, I had told her that this trip would be very busy with difficult clients, requiring 24-hour on-call availability. I might not respond to messages promptly, and she should inform me before calling instead of calling unexpectedly. After a while, she couldn't help but poke my avatar again. Notification: Naomi poked your tombstone and said, "Get up and dance." I floated with my phone on the ceiling, laughing with mischievous tears. Yes, having control over the phone was my last wish to the system. At first, I wished my soul could leave Naomi, but the system said it couldn't for some reason. I wasn't curious about Naomi's reaction when she found out I was dead. Whether she showed regret or pain, I felt nothing but disgusted. Naomi paused, her worried frown easing, and then she covered her mouth and laughed softly. She sent, "Run, this is so unlucky." Naomi rested her chin on her hand, thought for a long time, carefully searched for an emoji, and sent it. She sent a picture of someone angrily rubbing a dog's head. She said, "Miss you." I floated in the air, pinched her cheeks, and laughed uproariously. The smile gradually faded, and my expression finally turned completely cold. I spoke to myself. "I'm really sorry. Rin is already dead. How can a dead person call you back? Have you forgotten? I'm just 1 away from you, but you couldn't see me in your moment of life and death. I'm your boyfriend, Naomi. I won't forgive you unless you die too." This is the 4th day I've been forced to remain beside Naomi as a ghost. Naomi's life is very simple. She sends me good morning messages, writes novels, eats, sleeps, and sends me good night messages. Lately, her state has become increasingly restless and anxious, repeatedly editing and deleting her completed novels, leaving a pile of scrap drafts everywhere. Another night, Naomi woke up startled from her sleep. I was sleeping peacefully until her movements woke me up and I started cursing, wanting to drag her over to give her a good scare. The regret is that I can't touch anything. I'm speechless. I'm a ghost, and yet I can't find peace. Frustrated, I gritted my teeth and turned over to continue sleeping. I don't know if other ghosts need sleep, but I definitely need sleep. Even in death, I must be the king of sleep. Naomi lay hunched over the bed, perhaps having had a nightmare, breathing rapidly, her face pale, sweat beading all over her body. She couldn't speak, only gasping for air, her dim eyes showing a hint of loneliness. Naomi sent, "Rin, miss you." My phone received her message once again. Naomi wiped the corner of her eye, took out the photo of me from the bedside table, and looked at it for a long time before finally couldn't resist calling me. Beep, beep. After a few rings, the call ended. No one answered. She held the hem of her dress, pacing back and forth in the room, her profile beautiful and captivating, but her eyes full of worry and confusion. Her youthful pupils sparkled like a deep and bright lake with gentle ripples. Those eyes were still beautiful and charming, just like the first time I saw her, not changed in the slightest. I spent 10 years, pursued her for 10 years, until I managed to embed my shadow into those cold and detached eyes, so that when Naomi looked at me, there was finally some warmth and tenderness in her gaze. I thought Naomi loved me. Unfortunately, True feelings reveal that life-and-death moments and years of growing affection couldn't compete with her long-held crush. Naomi, oh Naomi, how could you? How could you? How could you fail to notice me right in front of you? Is Hiroki your only true love engraved in your bones? As long as he's around, you can no longer see anyone else. I, Run, will forever remain just a supporting character. It's strange, being a ghost can still feel pain. For the first time as a ghost, I didn't understand. I reached toward my heart, the place that once would beat passionately every time I saw Naomi, now empty, nothing left, only a handful of ashes. Naomi sends me messages every day. Although I'm a ghost, thanks to the system's backdoor, I clearly could return, but I choose not to. I find various ways to tweak the messages I send through WeChat's poke feature to tease her, floating around the room and having a blast. WeChat mini program notifications. Naomi poked your wooden fish. Ren's good karma +1. Naomi patted your ex's tombstone and lit incense. Naomi poked our matchmaker's red string. Oops, accidentally broke it. Naomi's eyes drooped slightly as she stared at my changing messages, pondering for a long time before finally cautiously sending. Run, did I do something wrong? Damn it, I'm furious. Did I do something wrong? This scum girl is acting innocent. I zoomed over to her, grinning fiercely, making a proper ghost face at Naomi. Then I slapped my hand down, trying to give her a couple of slaps. After all, slapping is what I'm best at. But the slap missed, and I almost did a somersault myself. I'm so angry. Even as a ghost, I've lost the ability to slap people. I gritted my teeth and roared, "Scum girl, don't call me by my name. Go find your Hiroki." Naomi frowned slightly. In the height of summer, a chill suddenly surged through her, and she involuntarily shivered. Naomi took a sip of warm water, changed out of her nightdress, tied up her hair, and for the first time in 4 days, I saw her go out. The mall was filled with a romantic atmosphere. Today was Valentine's Day. The diamond pendant I had prepared for her was still in the hidden compartment of the study, and I never got the chance to give it to her, because I have no lover, only sacrifices. Floating behind Naomi all the way, I saw her follow a store assistant to pick up a pre-ordered strawberry cheesecake. Naomi likes strawberries, and I like cheese. In past years, we would buy them to share, but this time, she was probably buying it to eat with Hiroki. Thinking of this, my anger flared. I vigorously tugged at her ponytail back and forth. "You two scum, eat up. It's fine if you both get food poisoning." Naomi was oblivious, thinking the mall's cold air was too chilly. She frowned slightly. After carefully putting away the cake, she entered a men's clothing store. Due to communication barriers, Naomi rarely went out, so today was unprecedented. A pang of sadness filled my hollow eye sockets. Naomi was meticulously selecting items one by one, typing while gesturing to the store assistant, seemingly explaining Hiroki's dressing style. So angry that I wanted to smash the store for her right there. I made a spitting face at the store, but all that came out was air. I quickly tried to quell my anger, missing the words on Naomi's screen. She wrote, "Male, about 178 centimeters tall, very slim, fair skin, loves to laugh, likes blue for a loved one." The store assistant smiled and said, "You must love him very much." Naomi's clear, jade-like eyes suddenly softened, as if melted. She wrote, "Thank you. He is someone worth my love." Naomi didn't go home. She went straight to the central hospital. Buying a gift to give directly to the person involved sounds reasonable, but not Naomi. Do you even remember that I, Ren, am your boyfriend? When I first became a ghost, I could float effortlessly, but today I can't move at all. I curled up in a corner outside the hospital room, closing my eyes and covering my ears, feeling despondent and sorrowful. Back when the system first transported me into this world, I was a tough guy who had no interest in the romance and love stories in this book. The system assigned me to play a minor character unrelated to the main, the heir of a wealthy family. In the real world, I was also from a rich family, so I wasn't attached to this storyline. I just planned to finish the plot and slip away to continue my comfortable life. But fate had other plans. The moment I met Naomi, I realized that love at first sight wasn't just a myth. I was 19 and Naomi was 18. She had long, jet black hair, bright and kind eyes, and stunningly beautiful features. I couldn't take my eyes off her, my mind consumed by a single thought. I, Rin Nakamura, am going to win her over. She is destined to be my future wife, and I will cherish her deeply. After trying countless romantic gestures in my mind, I began to inquire around and discovered that Naomi was actually mute. I heard that when she was a child, she had a high fever and her poor family couldn't afford timely medical treatment, which damaged her vocal cords, leaving her unable to speak. After some more digging, good news, Naomi is single. Bad news, Naomi already has a first-love boyfriend named Hiroki. Good news, Hiroki is the male lead and Naomi is just a female supporting character who loves but can't have him. Bad news, Naomi deeply loves Hiroki from the bottom of her heart. Sigh. The main couple is mutually in love and you, a poor supporting character, are meddling for no reason. After meticulously studying the world's plot provided by the system, I was confident and decided to pursue Naomi. My character, Run, was designed to be exceptionally lovable, ensuring that I would win Naomi over in one fell swoop. I first approached Hiroki, became his close friend, and through him, naturally met Naomi. At that time, Naomi and Hiroki had already broken up. Hiroki had met his dream girl, Yumi, the Suzuki family's precious daughter. The two were entangled in a love-hate relationship. As for Naomi, because she loved Hiroki so much, even after their breakup, she continued to foolishly wait for Hiroki to come back and reconcile with her. She was mute, of humble status, daring not to ask for much, yet unable to let go. Whenever Hiroki had an argument with the female lead, Naomi would glance at them, avoid eye contact, and quietly wait by the side. The female lead was the wealthy heiress, a spoiled and willful young lady who, before she matured, had been quite bratty and had once gone as far as to bully and humiliate Naomi out of jealousy. With both parents deceased and coming from a poor background, how could Naomi possibly compete with someone like Yumi, the rich heiress? She silently endured all the injustices, genuinely loving Hiroki from her heart, never complaining once from start to finish. Ah, what a pitiable girl, loving so humbly and deeply. My first official meeting with Naomi was at my birthday party. At that time, Miss Suzuki and Master Tanaka came to my Nakamura family home to attend my birthday celebration. Naomi was set up to embarrass herself at the party. Yumi deliberately sidelined Hiroki, holding her wine glass high, sneering coldly. She said, "Naomi, look at you, trying to be Cinderella, sneaking in to catch a rich husband. Have you thought about what would happen if you messed up Master Nakamura's birthday party? You'll regret it." The crowd surrounded Naomi, gossiping and pointing fingers. The girl was dressed plainly, her figure thin, unable to speak up for herself, her eyes and eyebrows full of grievance. I was dressed impeccably. As they say, dress for the job you want, and this tailored suit made me look instantly sophisticated. I adjusted my hairstyle, straightened my watch, and thought to myself, with such a dashing look, Naomi should be immediately flocking to me, begging me to take her as my girlfriend. However, as I walked down the stairs, I saw Naomi being humiliated. I clenched my fists, filled with anger. Who dared to bully my wife? I loosened my blue tie, stood outside the crowd, and shouted, "What are you all doing?" Men and women approached to flatter me, but I ignored them all. Pretending it was my first time meeting Naomi, I walked up to her and politely asked, "Miss, who are you and what's your name?" Up close, I wanted to pick her up and take her straight to the civil affairs office. This girl was absolutely stunning, as beautiful as a fairy. Suppressing my excitement, I smiled and said, "I'm Run." Naomi was taken aback, nodding coldly. I was speechless. I took her hand enthusiastically and said, "I'm Hiroki's friend." "You're Hiroki's friend too, right? So we're friends now." With Master Nakamura's favor, envious glances were cast towards Naomi from all around. Yumi's eyes glanced over me with a hint of malice as she sneered, "She's really lucky." Naomi gently brushed my hand away, remaining calm, her gaze cool and detached like water, leaving no trace, not moved by my overture. Undeterred, I continued to introduce myself passionately. I said, "You can call me Ren. Naomi, you're just my type. I like you." But Naomi remained cold and distant, pulling out her phone to type a few words. "Hello. Have you seen Hiroki? I'm looking for him." She was worried about Hiroki, constantly thinking about and missing him. I gritted my teeth, smiling even brighter. The party ended. Yumi scoffed, "You've taken a liking to her." Our families were part of the same social circle, having known each other since childhood. Though we were just acquaintances, I didn't hesitate to speak frankly. Naomi is going to be my future wife. If I hear you talking about her again, don't blame me for turning my back on you. Yumi didn't expect me to be so direct. She snorted coldly. Wife? Yeah, right. People like you. When you meet someone you like, you just play around with them. But Master Nakamura, how does it feel to like someone who doesn't love you back? I couldn't be bothered to argue with her, so I said, when your clothes get wet, do you want everyone to get soaked? So you're tired of being played by some other master and came to complain to me? Sorry, I don't have time to listen to your gossip. Not interested. In the first 18 years of Naomi's life, Hiroki was the only person who treated her well. They grew up supporting each other in the orphanage, and I could understand the bond and friendship between Naomi and Hiroki. I was envious, but not exactly jealous. Anyway, Naomi's future would definitely include me, Ren. I was certain. I wanted her for the rest of her life. From then on, I embarked on a relentless pursuit of Naomi. I specifically learned sign language for her, creating various chance encounters. Naomi was an extremely shy girl, but that didn't matter. I was thick-skinned and persistent, perfect at clinging on. On New Year's Eve, Naomi was all alone in her rented apartment. I knocked on her door, sneaking in when she wasn't paying attention. I barged in shouting, I'm starving. I'm starving. Hurry and wipe the table. I've brought a feast. Naomi, I like you. I think you were born to be my wife. What do you think? Naomi, I can't stand seeing you with someone else. Naomi, what do you think of me? I'm confessing my love to you. Naomi probably didn't expect that a rich young master like me would be so aggressive. As the clock struck midnight on New Year's, I used sign language to wish her a happy new year, a brilliant smile spreading across my face, reflecting in Naomi's eyes. And so I pursued Naomi for several years until a crisis hit the Nakamura family, and I was arranged to study abroad. At the airport, Naomi pushed through the dense crowd, running with rapid breaths. The usually composed and detached girl looked particularly disheveled. Her eyes reddened as she tightly held my hand. She signed, I like you too. Naomi likes Ren. It proved that I had succeeded. I thought if it weren't for that tragic fire accident, Naomi and I would have been together for a long, long time, growing old together. When Naomi emerged from Hiroki's hospital room, I was filled with resentment, puffing my cheeks as I desperately tried to blow cold air at her. Yumi, pretending to be gentle and virtuous, softly said, Thank you. Years had passed, and this green tea was much more restrained than before. After hesitating for a moment, Yumi still felt uneasy and asked hesitantly, You haven't wronged Ren, have you? Naomi remained silent, a hint of coldness reflected in her eyes as she signed, No. Yumi breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. Where's Ren? Why didn't he come with you? Just as Naomi was about to respond, her phone in her pocket buzzed incessantly. She quickly opened the screen, a fleeting look of confusion and helplessness passing through her eyes. She gestured to Yumi and hurriedly left. I should have been cursing Naomi quietly in a corner, but as Naomi left, I was forcibly pulled away, floating sideways. I cursed, damn it, I just cursed Hiroki. Don't interrupt my spell. Naomi approached a colleague who was traveling with me on the business trip. The colleague scratched his head and said, Ren has already returned. He's on the same flight as me. Naomi frowned deeply, her eyes rippling like a disturbed lake, revealing her inner turmoil. Her pale lips pressed tightly together. Her breathing suddenly became rapid. Naomi took a deep breath and asked, When did Ren return to City C? Her typing fingers trembled slightly. The reply came, 4 days ago. Upon hearing this, Naomi's face turned pale, her pupils filled with shock and confusion, frozen in place with her lips slightly parted. I held my forehead and stood in front of her, poking her head as I said, Hey, I'm right here. I extended my hand, waving it in front of her, sneering, Looking for me? What are you going to do? Naomi, why not die too? Then you can see me. Countless messages and endless phone calls flooded my phone. Realizing something was wrong, Naomi finally began searching for me. She's mute, unable to speak, leaving no voice messages, and calls don't go through. She could only keep sending messages nonstop. Ren, where are you? I shook my head and replied, I'm right beside you. You've always been blind. She asked, Ren, can you come home first? I'll come find you. The word home touched my fragile nerves. I froze for a moment before slumping down by the wall not far from Naomi, clutching my fists tightly, speaking word by word. Naomi, I can't come home anymore. Naomi went to my company, my parents' house, any colleague or friend associated with me, any place she could think of, but she still couldn't find me. On the bustling city streets, Naomi stood amidst the crowd, clutching her phone tightly, looking somewhat lost, as if she didn't know where to go. Her weary shadow stretched long under the streetlights, adding a touch of distant loneliness. Her eyes were bloodshot, looking utterly exhausted after a day of running around. Naomi returned home, having searched every corner only to be disappointed once again. The entire house felt lifeless, unusually empty and quiet. Naomi continued to contact me, gently poking my avatar. WeChat mini program notification. Naomi poked your tombstone and said, "Your Ren's grave grass has grown 8 feet tall." She stared at the message for a moment before her fingers began to swipe upward, reviewing each change in my message suffixes. I lingered behind Naomi, suddenly finding everything uninteresting, even losing the desire to scare her. I realized that Naomi wasn't entirely indifferent towards me, but sadly, the person she loved the most wasn't me. I circled around to stand in front of Naomi, staring at her motionlessly. Naomi's brows knitted slightly, her lips pale and cracked, her face showing signs of fatigue, yet still beautiful and ethereal. Memories flashed through my mind like a revolving lantern. The first year, Naomi's coldness and detachment towards me. The second year, Naomi began to unconsciously watch me, her gaze lingering on me longer each time. Third year, on a snowy winter day, I trekked over mountains to find Naomi out sketching, warming her cold hands inside her snow-covered cabin. The fourth year, at the airport, Naomi was breathless and no longer her usual composed self. She tied the bell to my hand, promising to wait for me forever, even if it took a lifetime. The seventh year, I held her as we walked to the bedroom, her cheeks flushed, shyly snuggling into my embrace. Closing my eyes, I calmly whispered, "System, end it." "How many days left until detachment?" The electronic voice responded, 3 days remaining. Ding dong. The screen lit up. I sent Naomi a message using my phone saying, "Let's break up, Naomi. I'm finding someone else. I don't need you anymore." Suddenly, Naomi's fingertips froze, her brows furrowing deeply, and her eyes, once two pools of autumn water, instantly turned into icy coldness. Naomi reported to the police. I was so furious, I was bouncing up and down. I cursed. I said, break up, break up. Can't you understand? Why did you call the police?" After filling out the report, Naomi tightly held my photo and handed it to the officer, struggling to control her emotions. I could sense her agitation was quite intense. On the surface, she appeared calm, but internally, she was on the verge of losing control. The police officer asked, "You were able to contact someone to send you messages. Are you sure he's missing?" Naomi's eyes were bloodshot from exhaustion. She typed, "Ren wouldn't break up with me. He must be in trouble. He's not safe right now. Please help him." After completing her statement, Naomi didn't waste any time and stood up to leave, seemingly intent on continuing her search for me. Just as she was about to exit the police office, a voice called out, "Hey, wait, ma'am." A young police officer had been staring at my photo for a long time. Suddenly, his expression changed and he loudly called out to Naomi. In the next moment, his voice became very soft and cautious as he said, "Ma'am, do you see? Is this the person you're looking for?" Naomi looked in the direction the officer was pointing. She stood quietly, her gaze fixed on the figure in the bottom left corner of the screen, her expression vacant for a moment. I turned my head in confusion and saw a familiar figure in the bottom left corner of the screen. It was me, the raging fire, the chaotic fleeing crowd, me desperately shaking the bell.to call for help, and Naomi calmly pulling Hiroki away without looking back. The footage playing was exactly the mall arson incident from 4 days ago. After a long time, Naomi seemed to be in a trance, her blood color fading, her face as pale as paper. She opened her mouth. From her long silent throat, she painfully and hoarsely managed to utter muffled words. "Run." Her voice was sharp and unpleasant, like serrated edges cutting across a broken string, as if the entire world was trembling upside down with her. Naomi hadn't eaten or drunk anything, tirelessly searching for me in the ruins after the fire. For a long time, I floated on her shoulder, making ghostly faces indifferent. I sighed. Stop looking for me. I'm already dead. She maintained her usual calm demeanor, asking everyone she met, "Have you seen Rin?" Using her sharp and unpleasant voice, she struggled to articulate her words. My death couldn't be kept a secret any longer. Friends from before my passing rushed to pay their respects, and Yumi along with the discharged Hiroki arrived at the sealed-off ruins. I was speechless. What a lively scene, all here to pay their respects to me. My parents were the most heartbroken, crying so hard they choked on their sobs. Even Yumi, who didn't get along with me, couldn't help shedding a tear. Only Naomi didn't cry for me. The young girl's brows were light, and she stood quietly, her fingers beside her body drawing a few scratches. The frozen scabs mixed with fresh blood. Hiroki looked remorseful and said, "Naomi, I'm sorry. Please don't do this." Naomi turned sideways, tilting her head, and softly asked, "Have you seen Rin?" Hiroki was utterly shocked, incredulous, and asked, "Naomi, when did you learn to speak?" Naomi didn't answer his question. She lowered her brows and eyes, murmuring to herself, "I haven't seen him." Her mouth opened and closed, her voice muffled and unclear, as if gravel was stuck in her throat. "He's in pain, isn't he? Rin must be in a lot of pain. I came to find Rin and take him home, but I can't find him." On the 7th day after his death, it was Rin's funeral. Naomi didn't attend my funeral. Coincidentally, I didn't want to hear the sobs and tears of those who loved me, nor did I want to see the cold disdain of those who hated me. So I lay in bed, intending to take a deep sleep when the system told me that after waking up, I could return to the real world. My body and mind gradually found peace, but unexpectedly, Naomi stood by the bed, abruptly pulled back the covers, and without warning, lay down beside me. I glared angrily, instantly propelled myself into flight, and with a whoosh, I flew out. I was speechless. "Hey." Naomi lay on the side where I usually slept. She lay in my place, covering my blanket, shamelessly burying her head in my pillow, her fingertips repeatedly touching and stroking. I was dumbfounded and angrily scolded, "Scum girl. Even in the last sleep you want to disturb my peace." Naomi lay on her side, completely silent, her pale lips cracked, her face showing signs of fatigue, yet she remained beautiful and ethereal. Her head was buried low, holding something tightly in her palm, clenching her teeth, desperately trying to suppress her trembling lips, shouting my name. I floated to the edge of the bed, then looked away, finding it extremely ridiculous. I said, "Naomi, what is this? Repentance? Better late than never? Moreover, even if we do it again, you'll still make the same choice. Admit it, you're just a scum." Muttering the conclusion to myself, I felt inexplicably sorrowful. At least I was about to be liberated. Rin would be reborn, and in the new life, Naomi would no longer exist. Naomi was sleeping restlessly. After lying for a while, she got up to the kitchen and made a plate of dumplings which I had made in a mangled way before going on the business trip. I was forced to follow her to the kitchen, feeling confused for a moment. Suddenly, I remembered the time we quarreled, that day of the winter solstice. I had impulsively left work early, wanting to create a small romantic gesture by making her a plate of homemade dumplings. However, I ended up cooking them too badly, turning them into an inedible mess. She looked at the unappetizing thing, hesitated to pick up her chopsticks. I was enraged. These were dumplings I had made step by step, mixing the filling, seasoning, rolling the dough, wrapping them, and cooking them one by one. Not eating a single bite was too disrespectful. Where could I place my own pride? In a fit of anger, I directly fed the cooked dumplings to the neighborhood stray dog. I gritted my teeth. I feed the dog, but won't feed you. But damn it, the dog wouldn't eat too. After smelling it, the dog just shook its tail and walked away. I was furious. Naomi brought the dumplings back, signing, "I eat them." My thoughts returned. Naomi served 2 plates, even calmly placing my chopsticks and bowl on the dining table. She slowly ate the cooked dumplings one by one, as usual, smiling at the empty seat across, saying, "Rin, delicious." Feeling complicated, I gritted my teeth. "You're crazy." Naomi washed the dishes, staring at the phone on the table, her gaze lingering on our conversation for a long time. After focusing for a long time, the young girl suddenly smiled gently and said to the direction where I was in the air, "Rin, you've always been by my side, right?" I was startled, instinctively jumping behind the sofa. Naomi was picking her fingers, staring blankly ahead, the atmosphere immersed in sorrow. She looked up and smiled dryly, saying, "Run, wait for me." I slowly backed away, trying to get as far from her as possible, urgently calling the system. I asked, System, can I leave?" The system replied, "Detected that the host has been dead for 7 days. Now initiating detachment." A cold electronic voice started a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Beep. Naomi sat with her head down, completely quiet. I gave the young girl one last glance, turning away without any attachment. In an instant, the cold aura surrounding Naomi suddenly vanished. She quickly raised her eyes, her pupils full of tears. She shouted, "Run." She suddenly stood up and lunged forward, waving her hands into the void, desperately trying to grab something. "Run." Naomi's chest heaved, her throat hoarse. She vomited a mouthful of blood, staining her white dress. After a while, the young girl's clear, moist eyes finally faded into silence. That evening, at a detached villa in the suburbs, the house was engulfed in flames. Inside the smoke-filled house, Naomi tightly held the pendant in her palm, as if she were clutching Rin tightly. "Rin, wait for me." Opening my eyes again, I smelled the scent of disinfectant in the hospital room. A woman was smiling at me, telling me she was my wife. I rubbed my slightly aching temples, having no memory of her. Understanding the woman's meaning, I spent a week recuperating in the hospital. On the morning of my discharge, the knot of the bell string on my wrist loosened, the crisp sound drifting far away. I was about to bend down to pick it up when the other hand quickly picked it up before me. The young girl's profile was sweet and familiar, yet I couldn't recall where I had seen her before. She picked up the bell, looked closely, and was momentarily stunned. After a while, the young girl handed the bell to me, a gentle smile forming on her lips. She asked, "Hello, is this yours?" "Naomi, my lover, is Run. I love him deeply. I love him the most, only him. Rin seems to never realize that he is my true first love. I owe Hiroki a life. Back in the orphanage, he saved me by taking a fatal blow, almost dying because of me. I have no parents. If I give this life back to Hiroki, it wouldn't be bad. I started being good to him. Gradually, my kindness towards Hiroki became a habit. Hiroki asked me to pretend to be his girlfriend, and I agreed. For me, whether or not to date, it made no difference who I dated. Until I met Rin. He thought our first meeting was only at my birthday party. All those feelings were clearly written on his face, yet he thought he was being deep and brooding, arrogantly asking me, "What's your name?" A barren and lonely life was suddenly filled with sunlight, carrying the fresh and lively scent of grass. Such a wonderful person. How could I be worthy to be with him? Rin is my vibrant and bold color. The first time I saw him, my silent heart stirred slightly. I was smitten. I like him, but I'm mute. I'm not good enough for him. Later, I lived a dreamlike life. He hugged me, he kissed me. I was truly with Rin. The day I saved Hiroki, I thought, finally I had repaid Hiroki a life. From then on, my life, my body, my soul, everything belonged solely to Rin. But since that day, I have been uneasy, even having several nights of nightmares. In that terrible dream, my Rin was barely alive, unable to call for help, and ultimately consumed by flames. Breaking into a sweat, I woke up from the dream. Turns out the dream was real. I completely fell into the deepest hell. I'm okay being in hell, but what about Rin? Rin must be in pain, right? I can't find him. Let me descend into hell completely. System, the master who created me assigned me a task to separate Rin and Naomi at all costs. Make Naomi a scum girl. In the real world, she couldn't split them apart, but in the virtual world, she could. Thus, Rin and Naomi experienced 10 lifetimes within the reincarnation system. In every lifetime, no matter how opposed or desperate their statuses were, they would ultimately fall in love with each other. The master was furious. In the last lifetime, the master meticulously arranged someone for Naomi to rely on, but Rin still fell in love with her at first sight. They overcame countless misunderstandings and finally came together. To make Rin give up completely, the master decided to take drastic measures. On the day of the mall fire, my central control system issued a ruthless command, severing all of Naomi's sensory connections to Rin. Naomi couldn't see Rin at all and naturally couldn't hear Rin's cries for help. This was the most tragic lifetime for Rin. The master said she loved Rin very much. I was puzzled. I was just a string of data. I didn't understand love. But is love really like that? It seems someone once said that love should be afraid of the other person's pain. Since the master loves Rin, how could she bear to watch him die so brutally? The plan succeeded. Rin's love for Naomi began to crumble due to his brutal death caused by betrayal. I separated them. The task was fully accomplished. That night of the raging fire, I watched Naomi choose to end her life, desperately searching for her Rin. For the first time in my data stream, meaningless gibberish appeared. Back in the real world, I hovered in midair. Rin was discharged from the hospital with the master by his side. Naomi appeared at another door of the hospital. They stood on opposite sides, about to miss each other. The built-in data stream began to show incomprehensible gibberish again. Beyond scientific calculation, driven by fate, I exhausted my last bit of energy, directing it towards Rin and Naomi's bells. The knots untied, emotions began to stir. Rin, my little master, I wish you happiness. I wish you no longer suffer.